Hey everyone, today's project is going to be finally adding an LED to the bezel. I had been wanting to do this for some time and I just couldn't figure out what the best approach would be. I thought about remaking the bezel. Didn't want to put myself or anybody else that wants to do something like this through that hassle. What I finally decided to do is to take apart a commercially bought LED light to harvest some of the internal parts that we can use to create our light strips. And what I have here is this is a commercial electric model 1390177 in bright white. It's a 2-foot LED light strip and 900 lumens. So if you want to upgrade your cabinet's lighting big time, one of these will do it. If you want really, really bright lights, you can put one on the top and one on the bottom. I don't like putting anything inside the cabinet myself because it traps media. It's difficult to clean out. But what we're going to do is we're going to install this on top of the glass viewing window, sandwiched between it and the trim. So let me go ahead and pull this thing apart. We'll open the box, see what we got inside, and what tools we're going to need to get at the parts we're going to need. Okay, so once you take it out of its box, you have this, right? Now what we need to do now is we need to get at this these internals. How we do that is just squeeze here, unlock, squeeze and unlock, squeeze both sides to unlock it. So now you can see the thing comes off. I'm going to go ahead and move this so you guys can see. Next thing we need to do is we need to get into this so you can see what this LED looks like inside. Now this will void the warranty on this, so if this is not something that you guys are comfortable doing, don't do this. But I'm going to go ahead and drill these rivets out. So there's one here and then one on the other end. For that we're going to need a drill with a drill bit. This I believe is a 1/8 inch drill bit. Once we got it drilled through, next thing we're going to do is we're just going to remove these end caps. So there's one. And then remove the other end cap. And then we got to slide this LED strip out of here. Oh, I know what we got to do. Let's just cut this thing off. I'm going to go ahead and get a pair of tin snips. We'll just cut these two things off so we can get at this light strip. Guys, I forgot to tell you. So this thing is about $20 at Home Depot. So you guys can just head over there and pick one up if you're interested in doing this mod. Okay, so there we go. Now we should be able to slide this thing out of here, hopefully. I gotta straighten out this rail. There we go. Okay, so this is the part that we're after right here. So now I want to try to minimize how much space that this thing is going to take up. So what I'm going to do is, if you notice, a lot of this width is really useless. You can use it probably the way that it is and just fashion it into a different way. I'm going to try to minimize how much this blocks my viewing area. So I'm gonna trim it down. Well, let me grab something that I can use to fasten this so that we can trim it down. This is what we want to do. So you just want to create a couple of marks. So I got 2 there, and I got 2 on that side. Now I'm gonna use something straight. I happen to have this piece of aluminum here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach some double stick tape to the back side of this rod, and then stick this like this, just like that. So I'm gonna expose only the edge that I want to remove. It's hard to see, the video is going crazy here. So I'm gonna do something like that, and then we'll use some kind of a power tool to cut that. Probably a router will probably cut that real nice. Let me go ahead and get the double stick tape on the router, and we'll make this cut. Alright guys, so this is what I did here. So this is just this is a Scott's brand. It's by 3M. It's a double stick tape, and it is the green. So the green is how strong it holds. So they have a red one, which is very strong. We don't need that in this case because we're not trying to hold on a bumper cover or anything. But to temporarily hold something, I like using this, especially if you're gonna use a router or some kind of power tool on it. This holds it to a flat material really well. So one more thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off this extra, and then we can use this extra to trim up the other side of the LED, because we got to do both sides. And then if you've never used double stick tape before, it comes with a second cover on it. You could just pick at it with a little knife or something. There it goes. Just peel it back. All right, guys, and all we're doing is we're lining up the marks with the edge. I want to make sure, what you want to make sure you don't see once you cover it is any of this orange. If you're seeing this orange copperish color, it's sticking out too far. All right, so this is what we're trying to accomplish here. See how it's stuck on there now? We don't see any copper. And then we got to be careful here at the end. We can't cut all the way across, otherwise we're going to cut these connectors off. So we're going to cut from this side all the way down. And I'll go ahead and show you what tool I'm going to use to do that. All right, guys. Here's the tool that we're going to use for the job. So we're going to use a router and then a flush trim bit. Let me go ahead and chuck this up. I'll probably have to set up a temporary little router table. Show you guys how to do that too. Alright guys, here's what you want to do, okay? You want your router bit to be set just slightly above the piece that you're going to cut. And actually this is a little bit too high, but the table must be bent, so it does have some wiggle room, so I wanted to make sure I could cut it. And this bearing is just going to ride along the rail, and the blade is going to cut the part beneath it exactly the same width as the part that it's stopping against. So as soon as it hits that rail, that's where it stops biting in, and it'll trim everything else off. All right, let me set you guys up on the tripod, and we'll cut it real quick. Fiberglass is nasty, so make sure if you're going to cut any kind of fiberglass that you're wearing eye protection and some kind of dust protection, because you don't want the fiberglass dust in your lungs. Guys, so there you have it. We got a nice cut all the way down. We didn't cut off our plug. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just going to untape this, replace a piece of tape with that new piece, the leftover from the last time, and then we'll cut the other side. This is what you want to end up with when you're all done. And then you might need to sand it. I had to sand a little bit to touch it up. But so you want it about this thin. And then what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna attach it is, if you just put this directly on the glass just like this, you'll probably see the LED lights through the side. It'll probably make a border around the glass. But what I did is I 3D printed some of these. And let me turn the torch on so you can see it real good. So I 3D printed some little rails. And the way the rail works is it's going to grab the LED like this. And then I'm going to snap it onto the bottom of the Harbor Freight trim. And then I got these things set up so they'll snap together because my 3D printer is not very big. It's got about 120 millimeter bed, so these are 100 millimeters each. Let me go ahead and snap all these together. We need to make a couple more modifications to the trim before we can connect this up and test it. So these are the 3D printed parts that we're going to be using to get this thing to hold that LED strip. And the way that this snaps onto the ring is we're going to have to We're going to need to center this where we want it. So it's going to be somewhere around there. And this is kind of hard to see, guys, because it's black. But what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to mark at each one of these pegs on this trim, and then we're going to cut down into this little trim here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you what it's supposed to look like. Another thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut into this side piece the width of this little 3D printed part, because the wires are going to need to go up the sides. All I did is place a mark at each one of these points, and I'm going to use an air Dremel with about a 1/4 inch wide bit to cut down. This is another place that we need to mark. So right here, if you notice, there's 2 marks, right? And that's going to be because this little piece needs to slide, needs to come inside of here like this, okay? So we got to cut that out as well. This is the way the notches are supposed to come out. So you can see, let's see if I can get this thing to focus. So here are the notches. I got another one, and then the end one. And the way that they go is, see if I can do this while recording, guys. You need to snap in this center section, and then you're gonna push this down into the groove, just like that. You have to tweak it a little bit as you go, but that's the idea. Okay. Let me go ahead and get that last side on, and then I'll show you what it looks like complete. So that's how it goes, all the way across. And then this is what it looks like from the other side. So that could either be on the top or the bottom or both. And that's it. And then let me show you how the light fits. Guess what I'm gonna have to do is trim this side down so that this light can be on that side. So this is gonna go on the top. Okay, yeah, let me do that. Let me trim this down real quick, guys. Be right back. All right, there it is trimmed. Let's try the light again. I may have to play around with the wires, maybe. But what I'm thinking is it can go something like that, and then this should push in. Yeah. So you may have to play around with filing the light slightly, or the LED strip, the little fiberglass strip, to make sure that it fits in this groove. What I'll do is I'll include all of the 3D printer files, and if you guys need me to make one that's a little bit wider, just let me know. And then to hold this in, you could just put a couple little dabs of hot glue, I don't know, anywhere around the edges, because you don't see any of this. So this is going to be hidden in the trim like this. And let me show you the other side. See? And then the wires will probably come out the top. Let me go ahead and get it on the cabinet, and we'll test it and see if it's going to work. I don't even know if the LEDs are going to work after I cut them up, but we'll check them. All right, guys, I wanted to do a test fit here to see if it's going to fit properly, and as you can see, it does. So that's the bottom, and then I plan to put one also on the top. And let me. So this is the rest of the guts that's inside of that light. So what I'm planning to do is to take it out of this box, and then maybe even repurpose this space here that has these 3 holes. I may have to create a larger enclosure for it, and then extend these wires so that they come out, I don't know, the top over here. And maybe if I do the top one, I'll see if I can arrange the lights to where the wires are also on this side. That way they can both come out and go into their into the little box that houses this this little doohickey thing. Anyway, but check it out. Let me turn it on here. So there you go. There's the light coming off the LEDs, and you can see them. They're right there, and then inside the cabinet, they're above the glass, so no media, water, or anything can get to them. It's better to have the inside of the cabinet clean without a whole bunch of stuff in it. That way, when you're working, you're not going to have media that gets trapped in hard to reach places. Alright guys, let me add the second row of lights, and then when I complete everything, I'll do one final video showing you how I routed the wires and everything. That way, if you guys want to do something like this for your own cabinet, you can. I think it looks great. It looks really clean. I don't have the light on top anymore, and I got the total use of that window. This is where we're at so far. As you can see, we got the LED in this track. Did a couple little modifications to that side rail. You really can't put much here because the glass comes past this edge here. So this has, whatever you have here, you have to make sure that it's no higher than this trim. So for example, the LED right now is flush, so that's not going to have any problems. And then these plugs need to be on this side of this piece of plastic. What I did is I cut out a notch here, and that's where the cables are going to come through. The next thing that we're going to need to do is harvest the internal parts of the light fixture, and I'm going to show you what parts we need. So this is what comes with the light fixture once you take the cover off and you're finished with the LEDs. What we need to get out is this box. So this converts the 110 volts down to 29 volts, which powers the LEDs. So we're gonna get this box out of here, and it's held on with a few rivets, I believe. Yeah, so it's got 2 rivets. So we're gonna drill those out with a 1/8 inch drill bit, and then we can take this out. We're not gonna need any of these wires. You only need one set, and I have another one of these that I've already opened up. So these are gonna pretty much get discarded. What we're after is this. Along with this little plug here at the end. We'll be using an 1/8 inch drill bit on the drill. Another thing this thing has inside, it's got these little plastic things, so we're going to get those out of there. What we're going to do is just lift up in here, get underneath, and just cut them. Okay, so this is the internal part that we need, and we're going to have to build a little enclosure for this. And then we're probably going to need to lengthen this cable. All right, so let me get the other one out, and we'll go ahead and wire them up together. What I plan to do is take the two of these, wire them together, and then just use one power plug, and then have two of these cables going in to power that trim. Let me go ahead and break this this down a little bit more and get these harvest the plugs that I need. Another part that I think I'm going to harvest is going to be this plug. Now this particular model has a plug on each end, but the plugs are a little bit different. The one on one end, the one on this end has this little part that goes up in the middle, and the one on this end does not. This end is the one that plugs into the extension cord, which is this one here, and this is the one that we want to. This is the one we want to use. Okay, so what I plan to do is maybe take this off and fashion this into some kind of a box that we're going to create to hold the electronics of this light fixture and then the other one, so that we can have a little custom on-off switch for our upgraded light system. So let's drill out this rivet over here. And then this is held on with a couple of little push tabs. We got to squeeze those tabs in, and then the light should pop out. All right, so just to get it out, we're going to put something in here so we can press up against it. And then we're going to take a little screwdriver, push this little tab, and then you can see it starts to pop out. So now we just got to do the other side. There it goes. All right, so we got our plug out. Now we can cut this off of here. We don't need this part. All right, so now we have all the parts that we need. Next thing would be to make up some kind of a little enclosure for these little power converters. I think we might be able to repurpose the original Harbor Freight connection box for the lights. I think that these things will fit in here. We could probably put one over on this side and then the other one over on this side. I'll just have to play around with it. We may even, I don't know if we can still reuse this switch, or maybe swap it out for the one that came with the light. Let me mull this over a little bit, and we'll see if we can come up with a better solution. What I'm going to do is remove this connector that came with the Harbor Freight cabinet, and I'm going to substitute it for the one that came with the lights. And if you notice the way that this is wired up, the power comes into these two bottom pins, and then the switch, when pressed down, bridges whatever's on this side to this pin, whatever's on that side to this pin. So we're gonna use the same setup. I'll go ahead and replace this for the plug that came with the light, which is this little piece right here. So I'll put that over here, and then I'll take these two wires and connect them to these two bottom set of pins, and then we'll put the little electronic boards in there, connect their white and black wires to these pins, and then we'll have the wires coming out that are going to go to the trim. All right, let me go ahead and take this apart. I'm probably going to just cut this hole a little bit bigger to fit this thing. And since this thing was pressure fit anyway, if I get the hole close to that size, I should be able to just push this right in. Alright, so here's where we are with the little box. I cut out the hole larger than the original one. Before, what it had in it was this little DC connector. We removed that, cut out a bigger hole, and then I jumped on Onshape and designed this little adapter piece. Next, what we're going to do is just glue this thing in here. So for that, I'll use a little Loctite super glue, Ultra Gel Control, and once that sets up, we'll install the little plug adapter. So here's the original lamps adapter, and it just fits right in here. And then that just snaps in place. Just like that. All right. And then what I plan to do is just reuse it in the same place where it was. There it is. So this is just going to go right back over here. Got it backwards like this. We'll reuse the on-off switch, and then from the top here, we'll run a wire over to the trim. So the trim is all ready to go. We just need to finish up this last part. I'll try to see if I can get it done tonight. That way we can turn it on and check it out with both lights going. It was plenty bright with one. I think it's going to be very good with the second one. I just drilled the hole for the LED wires. Now I'm just going to feed them in there. Then glue down the electronics that are going to go inside this box. Here's how I fasten the wire inside. It's just a tie wrap. Push the grommet through. And these are just some car audio speaker wire that I'm going to use to power the LEDs. So we'll use the striped one for the positive and then the unstriped one for the negative. Here it is with the two little boards in there, and all we did is just a couple little dabs of hot glue in the corners there, right there and over on this side. Next thing left to do is to hook these wires up to these LED wires. We're going to cut this off and then use these tips inside the trim. That way if we need to change the glass and remove the trim, we can disconnect the trim side. Let me also hook up the electrical connections, and I'll show you that process as we go along. All right, I wanted to show you this before I push this in. So starting with this white connector down here, so you got those two leads coming that they're underneath. They come out on this side and they go to the bottom two pins on the existing Harbor Freight switch. Okay, then from there they come back out, and notice we got white on this pin and then white on the top pin as well. So these you can't crisscross them; they got to stay the same. All right. And then so you got them coming out of here, and then these are the two ends. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to join all the black ones together and all the white ones together. So here's all of our power connectors, and now last thing to connect are the LEDs. I'll do that next, and I'll show you how that came out. The LEDs now are connected. You got your black connected to your reds there. Kind of hard to see. It gets real crowded in this box. All we got to do is just tuck them down and attach it to the cabinet. There it is, all put together. We got our power cable going in. We got our wire loom with our LED power source going into the frame, and the frame is back on. It's nice and flat, and let's switch it on so you guys can see inside. So there you go. Super bright. If I had to do this again, what I probably would have done differently is bring this edge down here a little further down. I may still have to do something because it is very bright. I didn't take into account the LED's reflection off the thickness of the glass, since it is 1/4 inch glass. I should have counted for that. But anyhow, there it is, guys. Super bright inside. Shouldn't have any trouble seeing what I'm working on now. And I have more viewing space. The light on the top is now gone. If you like the channel, guys, subscribe, like the video, give me a thumbs up, comment. I appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much. It helps me to bring more of these videos to you. If you have any questions on any of this, let me know. I'll go ahead and upload the link to the file that I used for the switch, the 3D printed adapter. That way, if you guys are interested in duplicating the process, you can have the same access to the same little parts. I'll put the links to the light bulbs in the description. Thanks again, guys. Take care.